Ms. Short just dropped a bombshell. She's here because her first crush, Mr. Johnson, doesn't believe he's the dad of her 21-month-old munchkin Jabari. She's juggling being a teen mom and is totally over it, demanding Mr. Johnson to man up already. Mr. Johnson's playing it cool, saying, nope, not doing anything till DNA says daddy. Stick around, it's just heating up.
You and your mother opened your case today because First Love, the defendant, fathered your 21-month-old son. You are a single teenage mother who needs help and you demand step up and be a father. You are in court with your mother and say you might have been plaintiff's first love, but you weren't anything for her son until the DNA results prove.
Oh boy, grab your popcorn. Ms. Short's spilling the tea on needing Mr. Johnson to step into the dad shoes because, well, her boy needs a dad. Amid her teary plea and the classroom drama vibes, she lays out how tough school plus mom life is. The drama's real, folks, and it's only going to get juicier from here.
He's the father of my son, and my son as a boy need a father figure, and I need extra help like while I'm in school.
She just need to know, is he the father? So he can step up and do the right thing, hopefully. You know, we can't make him. We need to know, because I did him for coming over because I didn't want no feelings to get involved.
Now here's a backstory to munch on. They met on Facebook. Yep, modern love, right? Mr. Johnson was her first everything. Kiss, boyfriend, you name it. Then boom, she's pregnant, and Mr. Johnson is eyeing someone else. Ms. Short then meets another guy. Plot twist. Right after Mr. Johnson bails.
Me and Mr. Johnson had sex April 23rd. I seen him on Facebook with another female, and he was like, I don't want you, I want her. He was talking about the other female. And I was like, just left. He just left me. After that happened, it was May 3rd. I went out to eat with some friend, met the other boy. And this not my first time meeting, but this the first time we ever had sex.
Wait for it. Mr. Johnson was clueless about the baby. For a hot minute, found out 6 months in, and was ready to do the dad thing. But then, the rumor mill started churning about another potential deity. And Mr. Johnson's like, hold up, what? The plot thickens, my friends, and it's about to go down.
I found out she was pregnant 6 months into her pregnancy. She told my mom and dad she was pregnant. I could be the father. So at the time, I'm thinking that the baby's mine. I got her friends coming to me, talking to me about the other dude. So you know how they making me feel? I was there to see the baby conceive. I was the one that had the baby. I was there. When she called me and asked me for stuff, I was there to help her.
Here comes the struggle bus. Ms. Short talks about how tough it's been flying solo with baby Jabari. No thanks to Mr. Johnson's missing in action wallet. Family tensions are high and the financial squeeze is on. It's a roller coaster of emotions and wallet woes. Don't touch that dial. The drama dial is about to go up a notch.
He don't pay child support for none of his.
And I didn't go.
It was a point in time where her mama would get into our arguments and tell me not to come back to the house. None of that. If I come over there, she's gonna call the police. That's why I stayed distant.
He had another family member that wasn't even around when this happened, but he knows about everything. How do he know about everything?
Get ready for a head spinner. Court's in deep now, chatting about who did what and when, making heads or tails of when Jabari might have been conceived. It's a timing puzzle with a side of Maury vibes. Everyone's on edge, and the truth is just moments away. Next up, the moment we've all been waiting for.
So when the baby was born, Mr. Johnson, were you there?
Yes, Your Honor.
Did you sign the birth certificate?
No, Your Honor, I was finna, but I didn't have my ID to sign the birth certificate.
And he wasn't gonna sign nothing until we found out the truth.
But I felt like they came back when I had him to see did he look like Mr. Johnson. I don't want to go.
And now, the moment of truth. Drum roll, please. But like a funny one. The DNA results are in. And guess what?
It has been determined by this court. Mr. Johnson, you are the father.
Buckle up, Buttercup. Miss Powell kicks things off by claiming Mr. Tarver is the pops of her 19-month-old little dude, Joshan. She's here to prove he's the daddy. No ifs, ands, or buts.
Ms. Poe, you've petitioned the court paternity test to prove to Mr. Tarver that he is your 19-month-old son's father. Mr. Tarver, you say your defense in court is simple. You are not Joshan's father, and you will prove that today.
Well, twist my arm, why don't ya? Mr. Tarver comes out swinging, totally denying he's the father. He's all set to prove he's not Joshan's dad, while Miss Powell's not having any of it. Frustrated, he hasn't even coughed up for diapers.
He ain't did nothing. He ain't bought a diaper, he ain't bought him a shoe, he ain't bought him a shirt. He don't do anything for my son.
Are you serious?
Yes, I'm dead serious. He don't do anything for him. Call him once in a while.
I call him every day. I don't see him at least 3-4 times a week.
That's not being a father.
I don't call him
Every time he asks, I let him see my son. If I have to go all the way to him, I take him to my son because I don't want my son without father.
And you say he's denying him.
Absolutely.
Talk about a plot twist. Mr. Tarver spills the beans on their party-heavy lifestyle, hinting hinting that maybe, just maybe, Miss Powell wasn't all that faithful. She, of course, calls BS on this. Strap in, it's a bumpy ride to the next scene.
We're young and we wild, you know, and we party a lot. And you know, there was stuff going on around them times involved in parties and sleepovers and other people, period. And she have admitted in the past, but nowadays she'll say it's not true. So when you didn't leave me and go lay with somebody else?
No, I didn't.
The night that you told me you were?
Carver was when I got there.
5 hours.
The girl was
5 blocks away.
there.
It take 3 hours to pull over 3 dudes in the car.
There was another girl.
Oh boy, here comes the he said, she said mess. They dive into when Miss Powell got pregnant and things get muddy with mismatched dates and confused timelines. She tries to set the record straight, but Tarver isn't buying what she's selling. Just wait, it gets even messier.
When she first got pregnant, she came and told me she was 2 months pregnant. And time went on, about 2-3 months had passed, and she come back and tell me she's 2 months pregnant.
Lying, Your Honor.
Come back. You didn't come back when you was supposed to be 4 months.
I went to the doctor. I went to Planned Parenthood, the clinic, P-test done, and the lady asked me when was my last menstrual cycle. I gave her a date, and she went off the date based
on
2
months off?
When I told.
You thought soap operas were good? This one's a kicker. They argue over a doctor's visit that might not have even happened. Because, get this, the clinic had moved months ago. Miss Powell insists it was just lunchtime.
She tell me she needs to go to the doctor, so tell her I'll go with her. And we get to the doctor say they closed and they moved. They've been gone for a minute. And she's telling me, even though they said they've been gone 3 months, she was in this doctor 2 weeks ago. How does that make sense?
So the doctor's office says
she said she was there 2 weeks ago. When we get to there's a sign on the door saying they moved to another address 3 months ago.
Crank up the drama dial. At Joshun's birth, Tarver was there but wouldn't sign the birth certificate or give his last name to the kiddo. Because get this, he didn't want to be on the hook for child support. Miss Powell is livid, accusing him of bailing the second their son was born.
Because you didn't want me to.
He did not sign the birth certificate. He said he didn't want his name on nothing. Give my son his last name because he didn't want me to put him on child support. That's what he told me, and he left.
I named him.
Why wouldn't I give him your last name if I let you name him?
I wrote the whole thing down. Why would I give him my name and my brother name together and not give him my last name? She wanted me to leave because she was on the phone with her boyfriend.
You're not gonna believe this. Ms. Jones, Tarver's fiance, steps up and throws another wrench into the works, hinting that maybe there are more dads in the picture than just Tarver. The courtroom's buzzing with whispers and side eyes.
Ms. Jones, you are
his fiance.
Mr. Tarver, fiance.
Yes.
So, ma'am, what do you know about this situation?
To be honest, they say that multiple people was claiming her baby at the time.
You don't even know me. I heard many things about you too.
Multiple people are saying that her child is theirs.
Yes, 2 other people.
Here it comes, the moment of truth.
It has been determined by this court, Mr. Tarver, you are Joshun's father.
Thank you. Thank you.
That's what I wanted to know. That's what I wanted as well.
So, we're kicking off with Miss Wilson, throwing some heavy shade. She claims Mr. Phillips couldn't stay faithful to a Wi-Fi network, let alone her, and is adamant that he still swoons over his ex-wife. Despite the cheating circus, he's adamant about proving he's the dad of little Hope with a paternity test.
Always unfaithful to you and still holds a flame for his ex-wife. Yet you claim he is the one who's always accused you of cheating, fathering your daughter. Oh, you are requesting the results of a paternity test to prove he is indeed biological father.
Wait for it, Mr. Phillips swings back. He's convinced Miss Wilson wasn't just working late, but playing house with her coworker, who he's sure fathered her toddler. He points out that the kid is a spitting image of the other guy, not him.
You believe that Miss Wilson had sexual relations with a coworker, and it is he who fathered her 2-year-old daughter. Just like that man, Mr. Garcia, has also been tested and us in court shortly.
And here's a flashback to simpler times. Not. Miss Wilson reminisces about their casual start, which was all about Netflix and chill, minus the Netflix. She lays it out that a fling based purely on booty calls set them up for a trust-free, accusation-packed thrill ride. Next up, watch how this casual fling turns into a full-blown telenovela.
Just having sex, when you build a relationship like
That's pretty together. So it started off as a non-committal sexual relationship.
Correct. Of course, you're gonna have extreme trust issues. 7 years later, it was you couldn't go to the store without
someone else having sex or doing something.
Oh boy, here comes the club drama. Mr. Phillips recounts a supposedly scandalous night out where Miss Wilson was allegedly turning the heat up with some random dude. According to him, she was practically auditioning for a tango contest right there in the club.
During that point in time, she led me to believe that I was the only man that she was sexually involved with. One of my friends was inside the club with her, making love in the club. She was tongue kissing, she was grappling to the 10 with a guy. Tongue all in the mouth, holding down.
Just when it feels like Cheaters Live edition, the judge swoops in. She reminds everyone that they're not here to hand out relationship advice, but to figure out who's Hope's daddy.
Cheating is not cheating court, it's paternity court. Why while you were in a relationship or while you were not. It's about determining so whether it's in the relationship or out of the relationship still could be relevant.
Right,
It is
I
relevant.
understand, it is.
Things get a smidge serious here. Guess what they found in the closet? Ex-wife memorabilia. That's right, Miss Wilson stumbles upon a stash of old love letters and photos, sparking a whole new level of drama.
We will leave everything behind. I had my baby probably about 2 months or a month after we moved in, so I didn't really, in the new place, in our closet.
It was things that I did not know.
Her shoes, I mean, just so much stuff. So I came to him and I asked him, can you get rid of her stuff?
Enter stage left, Mr. Garcia, a co-worker wrapped up in this mess. He strolls into court and his testimony about just showing her how to kiss is sitcom gold. Hold on to your seats because Mr. Garcia's got some tricks up his sleeve.
You were with Ms. Wilson in the club, that you were kissing in the club.
I was.
Were
we
you
weren't
kissing?
She was showing me how to kiss.
I'm a good teacher.
And she really showed me how to kiss.
So you were at school getting a lesson.
That is correct, Your Honor.
You won't believe this bombshell. Mr. Garcia is gay. That's right. The man everyone thought was the father throws a curveball that leaves Jaws on the floor. As the dust settles, get ready for another twist that's straight out of a daytime drama.
I'm gay, so I can't be the father.
Well, that would be a material fact.
I thought he was a regular. Now I believe he's a bisexual friend. If you're attracted to me, because that's what I was under the influence of believing in the beginning, where I was betrayed.
And now, the moment we've all been waiting for.
Mr. Phillip, you are her father.
Can you believe this mess? Ms. Reeves pops into court to claim Mr. Silva is the baby daddy of her kiddo. Legend, Silva's all, nope, not me. They've been doing this dance for 3 years, with Silva dodging daddy duties like a pro. This DNA drama has turned their love life into an on-again, off-again soap opera, pushing them to get a test to see if they can stop the bickering and move on.
You are here today to prove that the defendant, Mr. Silva, is the biological father of your 7-month-old son. You were involved in a paternity case on Love and Hip Atlanta in support of your sister, who took a DNA test to prove paternity of her child, because you say there is absolutely no way you are the biological father of plaintiff's son.
Holy moly, did you catch that? Ms. Reeves spills the beans on how Silva's doubt game has her emotional roller coaster doing loops. Silva, meanwhile, is stuck in the past, thinking guys can play the field, but ladies can't. It's all about double standards and denial with this guy.
Well, it's affected everything in my life. We've been on and off for about 3 years. Every single time I turn around, it's always, oh, are you sure that he's my baby? Yes, I'm 100% sure. Like, why do you keep asking me? So I feel like the best way for us to be able to do this, for us to go ahead and get a DNA test, make sure that Legend is the biological son for him.
So you have doubts as well?
No, I don't have doubts, but he does.
Did he really just say that? Court turns into a medieval drama when Silva starts spouting stuff about men being born rulers and conquerors. Like, what century are we in, dude? The judge isn't having any of it and throws some serious shade his way. Keep your eyes peeled. The next scene is a doozy.
You aren't the only man that feels like that.
Well, Your Honor, you know,
like
God created men to conquer, to overrule. A woman cannot empower men.
What are we on, Game of Thrones? What are we talking about? First of all, you said God created men to conquer,
To
and what
rule,
else?
conquer, and woman
to
cannot,
rule.
cannot power.
You're ridiculous.
Brace yourselves for this twist. After a breakup, Ms. Reeves finds out she's expecting and tells Silva, who immediately goes into doubt mode because they were on a break. Cue the suspicion as he discovers she's changed her phone password. Trust issues much? The plot thickens, so stay tuned.
Well, we was broken up at the time. Immediately, as soon as I told him that I was pregnant, he was like, okay, with who?
We were broken up for 4 weeks, Your Honor. I caught her texting her ex. You know, I caught them texting multiple times. She claims they're just friends. One day, I just decided to try to go in her phone, and she changed her password on me. She was in the bathroom when I was trying to get in there, and I thought I typed it in wrong. Tried 2-3 more times until it locked me out.
Grab your popcorn, folks. As the baby's due date approaches, Silva's still on the fence about fatherhood, but shows up at the birth to keep things cool. He signs the birth certificate, but feels pressured by her family's stink eyes. You won't believe what's next. It's a real cliffhanger.
Throughout the whole time, I'm telling her I want a DNA test. In the hospital, none but her family was there. I was by myself. You know, I came in. As soon as the, Legend was born, the doctor came in the room straight to me and gave me the paper. I didn't want to make her look bad.
So you signed the birth certificate?
Yes, I felt pressure to sign.
And if you start talking about DNA test and not birth certificate, it sheds a negative light on her.
This is too much. They're both itching for the DNA results, hoping it'll end their constant squabbling. Silva's fingers are crossed for good news, while Reeves dreads the possibility of being left in the lurch. Fasten your seatbelts, because the results are about to drop, and you won't want to miss this bombshell.
You have a chance to be honest about that in this moment. before we go to the result?
Yeah, I don't have any doubts. I'm just a little bit upset if he feels like he's not his and he doesn't want to be with me anymore. I feel like with or without Legend, our relationship is, you know, we can make it be good the way that it was. Like if we didn't have a baby, it's that him saying like, hey, well, if we didn't have a baby, we wouldn't be together right now.
Are you ready for this reveal?
It has been determined by this court. Mr. Silva, you are the father.
Can you believe this opener? Mr. Wilson kicks things off by lamenting about his almost over marriage, pointing fingers at his wife's lax attitude towards cheating. He claims fidelity to her seems more like a suggestion rather than a rule, setting the stage for a tumultuous episode.
Mr. Wilson, you are on the verge of a divorce because your wife believes that fidelity is optional. You say that during your marriage, she cheated on you with both friend exes, which you believe resulted in the birth of her son, 8-month-old Waylon. You say you are not his biological father, and you intend to prove that today.
Plot twist alert. Mrs. Wilson fesses up to her side adventures, but insists Mr. Wilson is indeed Waylon's dad, accusing him of dodging diaper duty by playing the doubt card. Hold on to your popcorn. Her next line is a doozy.
Mrs. Wilson, while you admit to stepping out on your husband, you claim Mr. Wilson knows full well he is baby Waylon's father and is only denying him in an attempt to shirk his responsibilities.
Here's where it gets spicy. The crowd gasps as Mr. Wilson delves into the early days of deception, going back to when their romance began. He recounts a tale of a suspiciously large Mickey explained away as an innocent bump by the dog. Keep watching. The excuses get even wilder.
She is a cheater. She's cheated from 2 weeks of us being together in the beginning. There was a time when we got in an argument. She told me to leave. I left for one night. I came back. The next morning, she was begging me to come back. There was a hickey on her neck about the size of a baseball. She said that her dog had jumped off the bed and hit her. The nose of her dog hit her in the neck.
It's getting hot in here. The conversation heats up with Mrs. Wilson, admitting she wasn't the only one stepping out. Mr. Wilson was playing the field too. Their blame game hints at a marriage more tangled than headphone cords.
All that is true, he also cheated. He did the same thing. He's not innocent. He wants to act like he's not Waylon's daddy, and he is.
But you understand that the reason why we're here is because of the paternity of your baby. If you're gonna do the tit for tat, if you're gonna do the back, because we've got a baby now 8 months old, we don't know for certain who his father is.
Grab your tissues, folks. Mr. Wilson shares a sob story about Valentine's Day gone wrong when he discovers through a relative's boyfriend that his wife planned to leave him after he shows up with flowers.
On Valentine's Day, I went and bought her some flowers. We were gonna meet at a family member's house of mine. I got there before she did, and my family member's boyfriend at the time had told me that she was there a couple days before Valentine's Day, telling them that she was gonna leave me that following Friday. So I felt stupid.
Just when you thought it couldn't get any messier, Mr. Wilson finds texts between his wife and his buddy, exposing an affair right after the Valentine's debacle. The plot thickens and the tea is piping hot.
So I get on social media thinking it's my social media. It was still logged in his stuff, thinking I'm in mine, and I'm reading messages that I know I didn't send. And it was her and him texting, her telling him to ask if he could borrow my car so he could come see her. So I call her and I ask her about it, and she says she didn't say anything. She just hung up.
When did this happen?
Maybe 3 weeks.
So did you start sleeping with your husband's friend?
Yes, I did.
Oh boy, here she goes. Mrs. Wilson drops the bombshell that she did, in fact, sleep with Mr. Wilson's friend, lining up a little too perfectly with baby Waylon's conception timeline. But hold the phone, there's more scandal coming up.
We ended up getting into a fight, and I ended up leaving. They stayed together after that.
And now you believe he is Waylon's biological father. Ms. Wilson, you testified that this started with the friend in April.
Yes, Your Honor.
Let's look at the conception dates and see what's going on here.
Cue the dramatic music. As they hash out when Waylon was conceived, Mrs. Wilson half admits Mr. Wilson might not be the dad after all. This admission is a game change. Watch out for the next bombshell. It's a biggie.
There is a possibility. I'm not sit here and act like there's not, but chances of him being the other person's a friend is slim.
So after you hear that testimony, Mr. Wilson, in fact, April 1st to April 7th is the window of time that Waylon was conceived. Do you have a relationship with Waylon?
No, Your Honor. The whole time going through her pregnancy, she was with him.
And here's the big reveal.
It has been determined by this court. Mr. Wilson, you are the father.
Can you even handle this? Mr. Hooks is up in arms, saying Ms. Payne has been on his case for 3 years, accusing him of being the dad of her kiddo, Neve. He's pretty sure today's test results will let him shake off her claims once and for all. The court's heating up, folks, and you won't believe the zingers that come next.
Mr. Hook, you say for 3 long years the defendant, Ms. Payne, has been falsely accusing you of fathering her 3-year-old daughter, Neve. I believe today's results will finally free you from her allegation.
Hold on to your coffee, because Ms. Hooks just threw some serious serious shade. She's calling Ms. Payne a gold digger, thinking she's after her son's non-existent riches. He's 27 years her senior. The crowd's gasping like they just saw a ghost, setting up a showdown that's juicier than a daytime soap.
Ms. Hook, you say your son is being taken advantage of by a gold digger who is 27 years his junior. Ms. Payne, you say Mr. Hook is Nevaeh's father, and today you intend to prove it to him and his mommy.
You've got to hear this. When Ms. Hooks asks her son about his finances, he spills the beans. He's flat broke. So much for being a gold mine, right? This twist adds a splash of humor to the drama, making everyone chuckle. But hang tight, the revelations are just getting started.
I'm struggling, y'all. I don't have no money.
But what you thought, you're saying you thought, she probably thought since you were an older man established, it would be somebody that could take care of her. Ain't a gold digger if you ain't got no gold.
This is too good. Ms. Payne looks like she's about to burst as the judge digs deeper, trying to get her to spill her guts. Her hesitance adds an extra layer of suspense to the mix, making everyone lean in closer. You just know something big's about to drop, and trust me, it's worth the wait.
What are you feeling in this moment? I can see in your eyes.
You accuse my son of being the father of your child, and I know he's not the father of your child. Your child don't look nothing like my son. My son had 5 children, and they all look like him, and they got some of me.
You won't believe how these two met. It's straight out of a quirky rom-com. Mr. Hooks paints a picture of a fateful encounter that turned into an instant live-in situation. This backstory adds some real spice to the episode, hinting at a whirlwind of poor decisions. Buckle up because the roller coaster is just taking off.
I met her June in 2014. I was driving and I was going to a deli store, and I happened to see her on the corner like sipping on a margarita. So I started to talking to her. I was like, why you out here by yourself sipping on that? And she was like, she with her boyfriend. I said, he's okay seeing you talking to me? She told me that she just got into a fight, an argument with her boyfriend, another man. So I said, well, you want to come take a ride with me?
Talk about moving fast. Mr. Hooks and Ms. Payne went from strangers to housemates in a blink. It's like they were trying to set a speed record for the fastest relationship progression ever. Their impulsive life choices are the gift that keeps on giving in this courtroom saga. Stay tuned because the plot thickens even more.
Is this true? Is this how you and Mr. Hooks met?
Yes, Your Honor.
So did this turn into a relationship after this? You have this one day, was it a one-night stand, or did you see each other again?
No, he let me move in with him the next day.
Meet him at the store, you have sex with him at his house, and then he says you can move in with him.
Whoa, plot twist. Another guy's name is on Nevaeh's birth certificate, not Mr. Hooks. This bombshell sends ripples through the courtroom, cranking up the drama to new heights. Everyone's jaws hit the floor, and you can bet your bottom dollar the next twist is just around the corner.
You submitted Nevaeh's birth certificate to the court, and under her name, there is a father's name. We blurred it out, but that's your ex's name.
Yes, Your Honor.
So that tells you I'm not the father.
Tells me you ain't got no business going out with a young girl that's not even mature enough to come in this courtroom, testify, not for her 3-week-old child, her 3-year-old child.
Judge Lake isn't pulling any punches today. She lays into Mr. Hooks for his questionable life choices that led them all here. Her scolding is like a sitcom roast, except it's real life, and there's a kid involved. The tension is palpable, and just when you think it can't get any more intense, the climax is up next. Get ready for the big reveal.
The problem about meeting somebody at the store, 5 minutes, inviting them into your car, taking them back to your house, and having unprotected sex with them, a young woman who's just 5 years away from being a child. You have other things you could be doing with your time and with your life.
Yes.
Here it comes, the big moment.
It has been determined by this court. Mr. Hook, you are the father.
Can you handle this? Miss Whalen admits to a steamy affair with Mr. LeBlanc, who's already hitched, claiming he's the daddy of her little tyke, Vincent. Mr. LeBlanc, desperate to save his marriage, is set on proving he's not the father, while Mrs. LeBlanc is totally over it, stating if the DNA test shows hubby is the dad, she's out of there.
Ms. Whalen, you admit you've been in a sexual relationship with Mr. LeBlanc, a married man, and claim he is the father of your 2-year-old son, Vincent Whalen. You are determined to prove that you are not father of Miss Whalen's son in hopes of saving your marriage. You are at your breaking point and say if the DNA proves your husband is the father, your marriage is over.
Hold on to your popcorn. Miss Whalen spills the beans about how she dropped the pregnancy bomb on Mr. LeBlanc during a particularly cozy night. She's freaking out about how to break the news while he's sweating bullets about the whole ordeal. Stick around because the drama in the courtroom is about to heat up even more.
It was one night telling him that I might be pregnant because I hadn't started my ministry and got some pregnancy tests. Asked me to take him. He sat on side my bed holding his head. When I took the first one, I gave it to him and it
it showed that I was pregnant. He asked me to take another one because he was in disbelief about the first one, so I took another one. You can't be pregnant. It's only because he didn't know how he was gonna go back and tell his wife that I was pregnant.
Heated argument between the parties. Did you see that coming? As the room heats up, Ron, the court officer, jumps in to stop Miss Whalen and Mrs. LeBlanc from turning the courtroom into a wrestling ring. The judge steps in to scold everyone, reminding them this isn't just about them, it's about the kids too. Keep watching, fireworks are about to get even wilder.
He knew he could do that over there. He kept getting put out over here. Over there, he knew he could do it. It's called love. Feelings you can put in your pocket and throw away. Feelings you can put in your pocket, you can throw them on the ground. Love, I love my mother.
But all y'all look crazy because you sit up there arguing back and forth. He doing nothing but running back and forth. It's not even solving anything.
Doubts about paternity due to rumors. You're not gonna believe this twist. Mr. LeBlanc throws a curveball, questioning Vincent's paternity based on neighborhood gossip that Miss Whalen might have had a fling with the guy next door. The plot thickens with this added layer of drama, suggesting that maybe, just maybe, there's more to the story. The next reveal is a doozy. Don't miss it.
Very promiscuous, like I said. The mailman, not only that, you sleeping with a married man. He came to you because you were easy. It's
hold on, Miss
easy.
LeBlanc.
He couldn't do what he wanted to do.
You're saying this marriage is over, finally done?
I'm at my breaking point.
Grab your tissues, or maybe not. Miss Whalen opens up about how messed up this whole situation has made her feel, from her self-worth to her living situation. The judge isn't having any of it, pointing out Mr. LeBlanc's habit of making bad decisions and the emotional chaos it's caused. What happens next is jaw-dropping. Stay tuned.
And it hurts, but then it doesn't, because at the end, I'm gonna take care of my kids regardless. But they didn't ask to be brought here.
I love my wife, Your Honor. I want to be with my wife. But at the same time, my wife, it's a struggle because it's hard to try to be with my wife knowing there's a possibility that these other kids are mine. Trying to have a move forward in our marriage, it's hard for her to accept, bringing other kids into the household that's outside our marriage.
And now, the moment of truth. The DNA results are in. And guess what?
It has been determined by this court. Mr. LeBlanc, you are the father.
The courtroom buzzes with anticipation as things kick off. The introduction of the case, Hicks versus Smith, sets the stage with Ms. Hicks pointing fingers at her past mistakes, hoping to salvage her relationship, while Mr. Smith strongly denies being the father of her 3-month-old daughter, Honesty. Ms. Hicks is banking on a DNA test to prove Mr. Smith's paternity, which he opposes, armed with a bombshell witness, none other than the plaintiff's sister.
Ms. Hicks, you say the sins of your past have brought you into court today to save your relationship. You are petitioning the court for a DNA test to prove that the defendant is the father of your 3-month-old daughter, Honesty.
Here's where it gets juicy. Mr. Smith lays out his defense, claiming he's got medical proof that he's not the father and is ace in the hole, a witness who's going to back him up. When the plaintiff's sister steps in as that witness, siding with Mr. Smith, the courtroom tension cranks up a notch. She supports his claim that he isn't the father, adding a spicy layer to the drama. Next up, things are going to heat up even more, if that's even possible.
Mr. Smith, you say you have medical evidence prove you are not Honesty's father, and if that's not enough, your bombshell witness will close your case. The plaintiff's very own sister says you are not the father. Jerome, please escort her in.
Can I have you go right up here on the left side?
The stakes are high and the gloves are off. During fiery exchanges in the courtroom, Ms. Hicks defends her honor, passionately asserting she knows the father of her children, while her sister throws accusations of dishonesty and infidelity her way. Accusations fly about Ms. Hicks's colorful romantic history, causing gasps and murmurs from the audience. Buckle up, the roller coaster is just getting started.
I got something to say. She's telling false lies. I know for a fact he was not the only one she was
I guess you're there in the
sleeping
same
with.
bed with me when I'm sleeping with these people. I get.
How long
We're
have I been
having
your
threesomes.
sister? They was staying with me for some time. From what I know, my sister's a cheater. She been like that her whole life, okay?
Hold on to your popcorn. Here comes a curveball. Mr. Smith spills the beans about a personal medical condition he claims has left him infertile, throwing a wrench in the paternity question. Ms. Hicks counters, arguing their child is living proof he's wrong, which ignites even more fiery debate over his medical claims and her fidelity. Just wait, the next part is a doozy.
So you believe you can't have children, and this is what you were told by a medical professional. Did you inform Ms. Hicks about when you all were in a sexual relationship?
No, Your Honor. He never informed me about any of this. When he did tell me, this came up like 2 months after Honesty was born, that you could have kids. I didn't make this baby myself.
As the plot thickens, Mr. Smith recounts a wild tale of another man making a dare daring escape out Ms. Hicks's window, which he presents as evidence of her cheating. They hash out the details of the pregnancy and Mr. Smith's initial reaction, adding layers to the already complex relationship drama. It's a soap opera in the making, and the next witness's words might just blow the roof off.
Well, I came out the car. I seen somebody jump out the window, and I'm knocking on the door for like 30 minutes.
But you gotta knock on your own door.
Exactly. 30 minutes to open up the door.
The day he came to the house, he has a habit of losing his key.
You won't believe this bit. Dr. Jamila Gator steps up to shed light on Mr. Smith's hypogonadism, the plot twist in our tale of disputed paternity. The courtroom dives into a medical jargon-filled debate about whether his condition truly means he can't father children. Mr. Smith sticks to his guns, but the doubt hangs heavy in the air. Hang tight, the judge is about to drop a bombshell.
So hypogonadism is when the body doesn't produce enough testosterone. You can either be born with it, can develop it later in life. Usually from things like infection or an injury to the testicles can also cause it. But nature gives us 2 testicles, and so usually it has to be a found injury to not one, but both testicles to actually cause hypogonadism.
The moment of truth is about to drop like a hot potato.
It has been determined by this court, Mr. Smith, you are the father.
The room is buzzing as everyone settles in. The case kicks off with Judge Lake laying down the law, introducing it as Lewis versus Scott. Mr. Lewis steps up claiming he's the real deal, Crystal Scott's biological dad, though he's been MIA due to some mysterious reasons. He's super confident that the DNA test is about to make him a happy man, believing for years that he's the dad.
Mr. Lewis, you say 35 years you've always known you were Miss Scott's biological father. Circumstances kept you away. You claim the DNA results prove you are Crystal Scott's dad.
Here comes Mr. Scott, ready to drop side of the story. He's been there since day one, at the hospital when Crystal was born, and he's been the dad she's always known. He's still hitched to Crystal's mom and bets all his chips that the DNA test will back him up. Strap in, because you won't believe what's coming.
Mr. Scott, you claim you are Crystal's biological father. You were at her birth, raised her from day one, and are still legally married to her mother. You say the results prove you are Crystal's dad.
Now, Mr. Lewis gets all mushy, pouring his heart out. He recalls a chat from 35 years back when Crystal's mom told him he was the dad. He's been holding on to that like a kid with a superhero cape, seeing bits of himself in Crystal and convinced she's his mini-me. The drama's about to ramp up, so keep your eyes peeled.
She is my daughter. I believed her when her mom told me 35 years ago that I was the father. I never doubted her. I look at her, a lot of pictures. I looked at her, she became an adult. Have a lot of the same characteristics. When I look at her, I said, wow, I see myself. We've taken some pictures together with the other kids. She looks as much like me as all of the other kids.
Crystal takes the spotlight, sharing her tale of growing up thinking Mr. Scott was her bio dad because that's what her mom told her. She reminisces about fishing trips and vacations that painted the perfect family picture. But hold on to your popcorn. The plot thickens in just a sec.
Your Honor, my mom never told me that Mr. Lewis was my biological father. My dad here, he raised me. He taught me how to fish. We went on family vacation. That's when we were in Florida. Just last year, we were there for a family reunion. Well, he taught me what to expect from a man, hardworking.
Things get real as Mr. Lewis spills the beans about an 8-year secret romance with Crystal's mom, which Mr. Scott knew nada about. Imagine that soap opera twist. This affair adds layers of secrets and drama to the mix, making you wonder just how this family web will untangle.
I was in love with her. I believed she was in love with me. I was an unhappy man. She was an unhappy wife.
So you knew she was married, and you said you were an unhappy man.
I was an unhappy husband. We became involved. We had probably an 8-year relationship. She told me that at 7 months, she asked me, who do you think this child is? I said, well, it's your husband. She said, no, it's yours.
Crystal reminisces about the good old days, like those sneaky store meetups with Mr. Lewis when she was just a kiddo. Mom introduced him as just a friend, but they were handing out more than just friendly hugs. Buckle up, because the emotional roller coaster is just getting started.
When I was a kid, 5 years old, 6 years old, when she would say, let's go to the store, that's when we would go and meet Mr. Lewis in the store. Of course, it would just be me, her, and I. He would give me $5, $10. They would walk a little bit down the aisle, you know, and hug, kiss. And
you saw your mother hug and kiss
I would
Mr.
just
Lewis.
be.
And so who did your mother tell you this man was?
She just told me he was a friend.
Everyone's on the edge of their seats for the big reveal. Drum roll, please.
It has been determined by this court. The biological father is Mr. Lewis.
Can you even imagine? Ms. Percy kicks things off by demanding a paternity test to prove Mr. Gale is the pops of her 26-year-old kiddo, Tedria. She's dishing out that she's coughed up close to $200,000 raising her daughter solo, thinks it's high time Mr. Gale foots some of the bill. You've got to hear how Mr. Gale tackles this one.
Miss Percy, you've petitioned the court for a paternity test. You're here to prove to Mr. Gale and his wife that he is the father of your 26-year-old daughter, Tedria Glenn. You claim that you've spent nearly $200,000 to raise your daughter and he's done nothing.
Did he really just say that? Mr. Gale snaps back at Ms. Percy's hefty claims, explaining he only got wind of possibly being Tedria's dad when she hit 15. Plus, he's sweating bullets over the thought that his marriage might crumble if the test shows he's the father. Oh boy, the next bit is a doozy.
Mr. Gale, you claim you weren't there for Ms. Glenn because you only found out she may be your child when she was 10 years old. Your big fear is that your wife will leave you if you're proven to be the father.
You could cut the tension with a knife. The courtroom watches a fiery exchange as Ms. Percy accuses Mr. Gale of dodging daddy duties because of his wife's meddling. The spat heats up with Mr. Gale, insisting his wife doesn't block his dad duties. But hold on to your popcorn. It's about to get even spicier.
Be with his children, to spend time with his children.
My wife never stopped me seeing any of my kids.
Every time my daughter calls him, it's like, oh, I can't talk to you right now. Tanya's sitting right here.
Right, because I don't want to disrespect my wife.
How would you disrespect your wife? This is your daughter.
I knew that was my daughter.
It's your daughter.
This just turned into a soap opera. They dive into the nitty-gritty of Mr. Gale's past romances, with Ms. Percy claiming their love story lasted way longer than he admits. The judge is on a mission to sort out the timeline to see if it matches Tedria's arrival to planet Earth.
It was committed. We was 7 years.
Wasn't no 7 years.
How long was it?
4 or 5 years.
No, it wasn't.
When I got with her, she was 16, I was 21. Then when I was 26, I was with my wife.
Your birthday?
October 9th, 1988.
Mr. Gale, you got married in February of 2002. How long were you together before that?
15 years.
You won't believe this part. Amidst the chaos, Mr. Gale lets slip about his on and off flings with Ms. Percy during his marriage, which she insists included more than a few sleepovers. The accusations fly left and right, contradicting each other's stories about when and how often they were together. Strap in, because Tedria is about to drop some truth bombs.
We was still sleeping together the whole time you was with Tanya.
No, we wasn't. We
yes,
slept together one time, Your Honor.
Still trying to sleep with.
What?
Oh, whoa. That's cute. Don't lie.
Oh my.
Ms. Glenn was conceived, if you are her biological father,
well, she
during
already
that time.
had somebody else tested.
Everyone's ears perked up for this. Tedria steps up and pours her heart out, desperate for some closure on who her real dad is. Her plea touches on feeling left out and her ache for a father figure, tugging at everyone's heartstrings.
I may not have had a father, but I'm somebody. I don't have no problem with her. She's laughing and giggling like it's a joke. Your kids grew up with their father. I did it. It acts like it's my mama's fault. Because at the end of the day, when I was 15, when I was 2 months, you should have been a woman and said, this girl don't need to grow up without a father.
Grab your tissues, folks.
It has been determined by this court. Mr. Gale, you are not her father.
Hear me, boo. Holler at your girl. Let's roll.
What you talking?
Here we go, folks. The opening act kicks off with the case of Rayford versus Freeman, where Ms. Rayford accuses Mr. Freeman of fathering her 8-month-old son, Terry, and then bailing on them both. She claims he convinced her to have his baby, then jetted back to his fiancée, and now denies the kiddo.
Ms. Rayford, you say Mr. Freeman's inability to be honest has landed you smack in the middle of a love triangle that produced your 8-month-old son, Terry, whom he now denies. You say that after begging you to have his child, Mr. Freeman abruptly left your relationship, turned to his fiancée, and started denying your baby.
Oh boy, the sparks are flying. Mr. Freeman paints a picture of his time with Ms. Rayford as nothing more than a brief fling, slinging accusations that she was not exactly monogamous. He's dead set on the belief that he's not the dad. You'll want to stick around for what's next. It's a doozy.
Mr. Freeman, you say Ms. Rayford was nothing more than a fling who is now obsessed with you and fiancée, Ms. Triplett. You claim that during your brief time with Rayford, she was sleeping with multiple men, and there is no way you are her son's father.
You're not gonna believe this. Ms. Rayford lays into Mr. Freeman, calling him a deadbeat dad who hasn't lifted a finger for baby Terry. She's airing out all their dirty laundry about how he skipped out on fatherly duties.
Mr. Freeman hasn't done nothing. He's been a deadbeat. He refused to step up to the plate ever since he got with this Miss Triplett.
Hold on, first of all, that erupted from 0 to 100 in less than 1 second.
Wait till you get a load of this. The courtroom turns into a hotbed of drama as Ms. Rayford and Ms. Triplett, the fiance, exchange fiery words, forcing Judge Lake to step in as things nearly boil over.
Today, that this is his son, so he can step up and be the man he needs to be for his first child, Carrie Michelle, and the name needs to be changed to Freeman. You need to grow up and be a man. This woman dictates to you about just be there for your son. You like to clown? Your son will love it. He loves to laugh and play.
Hang on to your seats. Mr. Freeman isn't taking these accusations lying down. He argues he's tried to be there for Terry, but keeps hitting walls, mostly thrown up by Ms. Rayford. He spills the beans on his thwarted attempts to be a dad. Oh, and just when you think it can't get more chaotic, it does.
Is this because you do not believe Terry is your biological son?
I don't believe he's my son. I tried multiple times to come to Trina's house and deliver stuff. I brought things for the child, you know what I'm saying? She's neglecting me, told me I don't need your stuff.
This round's a real slugfest. Accusations fly back and forth between Ms. Rayford and Ms. Triplett, stirring up a storm of jealousy and mudslinging. The courtroom feels more like a reality TV show set. Don't go anywhere. The main event is up next.
So you know every move that man make, huh?
Nope. I thought he made a wrong move when he went over.
Oh, you jealous. You wish that was your son, huh?
How can I be
you wish
jealous?
that was your. The only thing I refused was on this particular day, he was saying that he had came by once and he had bought a few items for the baby.
In your mind, when he brought those things, he was accepting Terry. He was, this is for the baby.
Yeah, he had been accepting Terry.
Fasten your seatbelts. Mr. Freeman sticks to his guns, denying paternity and recounting his limited and, according to him, protected interactions with Ms. Rayford. He recounts his generosity toward the child, but guess what? She's not buying it, and neither will you when you hear what comes next.
I'm here today to prove that I'm not Trina's baby daddy. Me and Trina was together. It was only just a fling. Trina was still having sex with multiple guys. She's obsessed.
He believes you are still having sex with other people.
No, it's not true. We met in December. We met on a dating site.
Cue the dramatic music. The debate zeroes in on when exactly Ms. Rayford got pregnant, with Mr. Freeman and Ms. Triplett challenging the timeline she proposes. This isn't just a paternity test. It's a full-blown soap opera.
How do we end up here?
I had to go to California and take care of some business. So we were living together at the time. He didn't have money for a plane ticket because we were in a child. It was not responsible to buy him a plane ticket where he didn't go, where he had a job.
So you're pregnant?
By this time, end of February, I'm pregnant.
Your Honor, she was not pregnant before she went to California.
Here's a plot twist. Ms. Rayford whips out a calendar to pinpoint the conception with some major personal events like birthdays and Valentine's Day. She's trying to map out a baby-making schedule, but hold your horses. The next revelation is a real jaw-dropper.
February 15th, I'm gonna use that date, my birthday, that we had sex, although it was a busy month.
Wait a minute, a busy month? How busy was it?
It was too busy. By the end of it, I was pregnant. I was finding out we was caught up. It was good. I ain't gonna lie. 2 minutes at a time is good. I'm here. This is my punishment.
And now for the grand finale.
It has been determined by this court. Mr. Freeman, you are the father.
We cannot go through 17 more years of this.
Buckle up, folks. Ms. Dallas drags Mr. Stewart to court to sort out if he's the daddy of her little dude, Lamar. She's totally gobsmacked he's denying paternity, especially with his secret double life drama. Mr. Stewart's counter is a juicy one. He claims Ms. Dallas wasn't exactly playing house with just him, hinting that baby Lamar could have a different dad. Oh, the tea is just getting spilled. Keep your eyes peeled for what's coming.
You have dragged the defendant, Mr. Stewart, into court today to prove is the father of your newborn son, 1 month old. You say you are shocked that he's denying he's baby Lamar's biological dad, especially since you discovered he's the one a double life. You claim that it's Ms. Dallas who's been from Faithful, and you believe that baby Lamar's dad, any one of multiple men.
You're not gonna believe this scoop. Here's Ms. Dallas spilling how she met Mr. Stewart, leading to their casual fling, turning into breakfast dates and more. Turns out Mr. Stewart was keeping a little something under wraps. Yep, he was married. When Ms. Dallas popped the big question, the crowd's gasp was louder than a dropped mic. Hold on to your popcorn. There's more drama ahead.
Up a couple of times. I'm tired of going to the room. You said you have a house, you own it. And he was like, you know, I have unwanted company there. So I'm like, unwanted company? I'm like, you got a girlfriend? He like, no. I'm like, you have a baby mom there? He like, no. I'm like, you got a wife? And then he was like, yeah. So he proceeded to tell me like, oh, they going through a divorce.
Check this out. Mr. Stewart lays it out plain. He didn't think his marital status was worth mentioning. Judge Lake isn't having any of it and schools him on why that's kinda a big deal, leading him to admit he was out there acting like he's single. Things are about about to get even juicier, so don't blink.
Did you meet Miss Dallas, date her casually, have sex with her?
It didn't quite go like that.
How did it go?
You know, it didn't come up.
You were basically out acting like a single man.
I wasn't acting. Yes, Your Honor. Sorry about that.
I'm glad you went on ahead and told the truth.
I had to think about it.
Oh, so you were out there acting like a single man, but you were married.
Yes, Your Honor.
Get ready for a curveball. After finding out Mr. Stewart was still hitched, Ms. Dallas thought about calling it quits, but life threw her a curveball. She was pregnant, with dreams of a happy home dancing in her head. Courtesy of Mr. Stewart's sweet nothings, she stayed. The roller coaster is just climbing. Watch for the drop.
We were living together, but we were having problems of our own.
Ms. Dallas found out he was married. Did you have second thoughts about dating a married man?
Yes, I did have second thoughts, but once everything floored, like I was already pregnant. You know what I'm saying? I love Cedric. He was telling me like, I'm gonna do the divorce, we're gonna have a house, all this, we're gonna raise our son together. I was believing him because that's all I had to do was believe him.
Things are heating up. Just when you think it's sorted, in comes a plot twist. A pal starts whispering to Mr. Stewart that Ms. Dallas might have been playing the field when Lamar was conceived. Plus, Mr. Stewart doesn't think the kiddo looks like him. Strap in, this wild ride's about to get wilder.
He started out so-called my associate telling him and his wife that I was sleeping around with multiple men when I conceived Lamar.
Someone that knew you. They start giving you information.
But it was the same friend that sent him naked pictures of herself to him that I was sleeping around with somebody else, so why wouldn't say that she want to sleep with you?
Wait for it. The plot thickens with Mr. Stewart getting some scandalous pics from Ms. Dallas's so-called friend, who also accuses her of cheating. This bit of gossip makes the friend look shady and adds more fuel to the firestorm of paternity drama. Don't go anywhere. The next bit is a doozy.
Friends send you naked pictures, Mr. Stewart?
Yes, Your Honor. But that's one of my doubts.
What's your other doubt?
The other doubt was when he got here, he don't look like me. Look at his hair, he look mixed.
He don't look mixed. All babies come out with fine, pretty sure.
What point do you have to come clean with your wife about this baby?
I told her.
Picture of the...
Oh boy, here we go. Under the heat of the courtroom lights, Mr. Stewart fesses up about his current setup with Ms. Dallas. They're kinda, sorta, maybe living together, but not really. All while he's still legally married. Yep, his wife's right there in court too. The tension's thickening. Next up is a moment you'll have to see to believe.
So you and Ms. Dallas, you live together?
We kinda...
Well, what's that?
You know what I mean?
We live together, but we go back and forth.
We moved in together, but we go back and forth. Like, she done moved out, came
2
back.
days.
You know what I mean? And
Are you all divorced or married?
legally, we're still married.
Ms. Stewart, what do you want? Do you want marriage to work? Are you...
Roberta knows what Roberta has to do for herself.
Guess what happens next? Drum roll, please.
It has been determined by this court. Stewart, you are the father.
Hey, I told you, baby. I told you.
Buckle up for a wild ride. Mr. Buchanan kicks things off with a bombshell, revealing this isn't his first rodeo questioning paternity. He's up to bat again, doubting whether Miss Timberidge's 6-month-old daughter is really his. He's got trust issues galore after past false claims, and now suspects his girlfriend has been too cozy with others, including his former best bud. Stay tuned, the drama ramps up next.
Woman has claimed you are her child's father. First 2 times, DNA testing proved you were not, and you now doubt your girlfriend, Miss Timberidge's 6-month-old daughter is yours. She is engaged in sexual affairs outside of the relationship, including with your former friend and roommate.
Here comes the soap opera twist. During a seemingly normal day, a store trip turns into a showdown when Eric, Mr. Buchanan's best friend, drunkenly blurts out that he's been with Miss Timberidge. This shocking claim throws a grenade into the already fragile trust between Mr. Buchanan and his girlfriend, leading to accusations flying faster than a speeding bullet. Brace yourself. It spirals even more out of control up ahead.
One day, this is like...
And Eric is your...
supposed best friend.
Supposed best friend, so you get into a confrontation.
We took Eric up to the door. He was in the back seat already drunk. I mean, why are you getting him beer? You know what I'm saying?
He could have got it himself, Your Honor.
I mean, got into an argument over the beer?
So you're best friends with him then, obviously, if you went in there. But anyways.
You can't make this stuff up. After getting out of the clink, Mr. Buchanan finds himself at the center of a boozy betrayal. Homecoming wasn't sweet with evidence of lemon drops, a drink apparently loaded with more significance than vitamin C. These lemon drops hint at naughty escapades between Miss Timberidge and Eric, making Mr. Buchanan's head spin with betrayal. What's next? Even more jaw-dropping revelations.
All right, so I walk in there. What do I see? Lemon drops. Lemon drops laid out everywhere. I ain't talking about no candy. Check it out. She told me about the beer. So when you picked me up, why didn't you fair warn me before I got home? Why are you gonna let me find out by myself? Because you forgot.
I didn't forget too much. It was still there, weren't it?
Grab your popcorn, folks. Miss McNeil steps into the courtroom with gossip that could fuel a reality TV show for seasons. She claims to have caught Miss Timberidge in quite the compromising position. This bombshell adds yet another layer of scandal to an already sizzling situation. What will the next turn reveal in this tangled web of drama?
Says that you witnessed firsthand
yes, ma'am,
some inappropriate behavior.
Yeah.
That was not going on, Your Honor.
When I walked in, all I saw was booty in the air.
Booty in the air.
things just got real. The plot thickens with a pregnancy test that's positive, sparking a mix of hope and horror in Mr. Buchanan. He's torn between love for the child and lingering doubts about whose genes are swimming in the little one's DNA. They head for a DNA test that could either tie them together or blow their fragile world apart. Next up, the moment of truth.
We take a pregnancy test because Judge talking about she late. I ain't bleed, I'm late, all right? So we took a pregnancy test. Not like positive isn't like good job. Positive isn't like there's something growing in there. That's why I'm denying that little girl, man.
It's the grand finale, folks. The results are in and the courtroom holds its breath.
Mr. Buchanan, you are.
Thank you.
That's a blessing.
Just when you thought it was a regular day in court, Mr. Hardy swings in with full confidence, declaring he's the real father of Taylor, following a jaw-dropping revelation that another dude totally wasn't. He lays out his unshakable belief and the emotional roller coaster it's been, especially after Taylor got wind from her stepmom that there might be a paternity mix-up. Strap in, the drama ramps up from here.
Mr. Hardy, you are here to prove what you have always known. You fathered the defendant's 26-year-old daughter, Taylor. You say your belief proven to be true after Taylor learned another man was not her biological dad in this courtroom.
Come to me and asked me if he was her dad because she said her mother told her that he was not.
How old were you then?
12, 13.
Just when the audience catches their breath, bam! The court drops the bomb that Mr. Jennings is not the father, sparking a wildfire of tension. Ms. Lynn throws shade, calling Mr. Hardy a master of manipulation. While he stands his ground, claiming his fatherly role, Ms. Lynn hints at another possible dad, stirring the pot even more. You'll want to stick around. The twists get twistier.
It has been determined by this court. Mr. Jennings, you are not the father. Mr. Hardy, you say Ms. Lynn is a master manipulator who has stopped you from being a daddy to your little girl. Claim the plaintiff is not Taylor's biological father, and you intend to prove that
There's a possibility between him and one other person.
In a twist that could make a soap opera blush, Mr. Hardy reminisces about the early days of doubt when Ms. Lynn first announced her pregnancy. Despite feeling sidelined by her family, he recounts his undying efforts to be in Taylor's life, showcasing his commitment against all odds. What unfolds next? More juicy details, of course.
The second time she told me she was pregnant, I doubted it because she had already said she was pregnant before.
So you were told she was pregnant before?
Yes, but she wasn't pregnant that time. So I had my doubts the second time she told me she was pregnant. Believe it until I seen for myself that she was pregnant.
Were you there?
Not
Nope.
at all.
Her parents did everything they could to keep us apart. From the time Taylor was about 9 years of age, I didn't get to see her.
Here's where it gets spicy. Amidst Thanksgiving turkey and pies, Taylor gets skeptical about who her real daddy is and decides to turn detective. She dives into a personal quest to uncover her biological roots, ending up sending a direct Facebook SOS to Mr. Hardy. The emotional ante is up, and the next chapter is a doozy.
So how did you find that he might be your biological father?
Maybe I was 23, right around there. I had asked my mom, my boyfriend had mentioned that I looked like it. She didn't want to talk about it, and she locked herself in her back room because Thanksgiving's not the time to talk about it, you know? And then so I was just like, well, I'm going to take it upon myself, get in touch with people that was her friends.
Reached out to him and you
Yes.
submitted a message to the court.
Yes.
The courtroom's heating up with explosive confessions and accusations flying faster than a reality TV reunion. Each party is at the edge, grappling with the heavy implications of who knew what about Taylor's real dad. Grab your popcorn. The emotional fireworks are just getting started.
At this point in time, I was led to believe that she knew I was her father and that she didn't want to
So
deal
when
with
you
me.
got the message, you were surprised that she was even in a search.
And you're a damn lie, because I have never once told you that I sat down and told her you were her father. Not once.
You disagree with that, Mr. Hardy?
Yes, ma'am, I do. I was kept away from her. Brandy would move place. There would be years at a time I wouldn't even know where to find her at.
As if the plot needed more thickening, enter Mr. Bryant, another contender for the title of Taylor's bio dad. His arrival throws another curveball into the already muddled paternity mystery, layering on the emotional complexity like a fine dip. The saga continues, and trust me, you don't want to miss what's next.
First day, you had sex with Mr. Jennings. Day 2, Mr. Hardy. Next day, day 3, your doctor had given you a 4-day window of conception.
Yep.
So there is another man who could very possibly be your daughter's biological father. How did you find out about him?
The last time I appeared here, then I asked her what his name was, and I looked him up on Facebook.
Because you don't believe Mr. Bryant.
Yes, I don't think I look like him.
You don't think you look like him. You know him?
I've met him twice.
Just when you think you figured it all out, Mr. Bryant steps up to the plate, swinging with claims that he might be Taylor's pops because, guess what? They kind of look alike. His heartfelt belief stirs up all the feels, spotlighting decades of emotional baggage.
Thank you for joining us today. We are here discussing the paternity thing. This beautiful young woman, Taylor. We've been told that you are a potential biological father. Do you believe you are her biological father?
Yes, ma'am.
Tell the court why.
Because she's got so much resemblance of my daughter. I've been believing it for 26 years. It's time to get it over with, you know.
So for 26 years, you've had this in your heart.
Yes, ma'am.
It's just waiting to be unpacked. The DNA reveal is on the horizon, and it's going to be a blockbuster moment.
It has been determined by this court. Taylor's biological father is Mr. Bryant.
Yes, I told you.
Fasten your seatbelts. You're not going to believe this. Mr. Webb asserts that he has never been intimate with Ms. Cole, which provokes a strong reaction from the audience. Ms. Cole and her supporters immediately dispute his claim, calling him a liar. The judge expresses surprise, highlighting how unusual it is to hear such a defense. Buckle up, because this roller coaster is just getting started.
I never had sex with her, Your Honor.
Well, that would rule you out. You've never had sex with her?
No.
Yeah, he did.
She's a liar. She's crazy.
We've heard a lot of defenses in this courtroom. Rarely have we ever heard that you've never had sex with her.
She's absolutely crazy.
This next bit is a real doozy. Ms. Cole details a specific instance, claiming that on April 11th, Mr. Webb stayed in her bed and they had intimate violence relations, which she believes led to the conception of her daughter. Mr. Webb continues to deny these claims, asserting that their relationship was purely platonic and that he never slept in her bed. A heated argument ensues, with both parties contradicting each other's stories. Hang on tight, the saga continues.
And I know he stayed with me for 2 months, and he slept in my bed with me for one night, and we had sex. April 11th.
That's when you believe you conceived your daughter?
Yeah.
What's the nature of your relationship?
We never had sex or anything. We were just friends. We would chill out. That was it.
You were never intimate with her in any way?
I never stayed in her bedroom. I stayed out on the couch.
That's a lie.
And on top of that, I was only there for a week and a half.
Strap in for more chaos. Ms. Cole and Mr. Webb argue about the nature of his stay at her place, with Ms. Cole asserting that he lived with her for a month and a half, while Mr. Webb insists it was only for a week. The judge attempts to restore order as the argument escalates. Tensions rise as accusations fly back and forth about the nature and duration of Mr. Webb's stay. Just when you think it can't get any wilder, it does.
I wasn't living there. We were hanging out for a week and a half. And on top of that, April 8th, I had moved back to Detroit. How was I there for 3 months?
But why were you staying there with them for a week? You had a girlfriend.
She had knew about it. We were friends. She trusts me. I'm not like that.
And you called me with his friend telling me that he was there 3 weeks and you guys were having sex and blah, blah, blah. At first I did believe that. But then I heard his story and none of it. Shut up, I am talking.
Fasten your seatbelts. Here's a curveball. Mr. Webb presents a series of messages to the judge that he claims will prove his non-involvement with Ms. Cole. He describes the initial contact and the subsequent messages that escalated to accusations of paternity. The conversation in the messages revolves around the pregnancy and Ms. Cole's claims of Mr. Webb being the father. The next part is a real jaw-dropper.
How this went, the first message, she messaged me saying, hey, I got an ultrasound. I said, okay, can we leave it at Tasha? It's not my baby. I'm trying to do right in my life, and this is not doing either of us any good. So just at this point, I'm thinking, I feel like she's trying to say that I'm the baby daddy, but just hinting, not actually saying. What came next? I told her, I said, I'm not trying to be mean. I just want this to end. Because I'm not a mean person. I'm not a hateful person.
Next up, another whopper. Ms. Cole acknowledges there was another potential father involved around the time of conception. She explains the situation to the judge, including how the due date changes influenced her certainty about the paternity. The judge reviews a calendar submitted by Ms. Cole that outlines the timeline of her interactions with Mr. Webb and the other man. Wait until you hear what comes next.
As soon as I took the pregnancy test, immediately texted him and called the other guy, and I took both of them.
Lie.
For certain that the other guy was the dad until my due date got changed. It went from February 22nd to January 28th.
That is the date you were intimate with Mr. Webb, on the 11th of April.
Yeah, my conception was...
The window of conception is in blue, so that's the week prior to the 11th.
This will crack you up. In a dramatic revelation, Ms. Cole makes a crass remark about Mr. Webb's anatomy to assert her familiarity with him, which is met with mixed reactions from the audience. Her claim is meant to prove intimacy, but it only adds tension and ridicule to the proceedings. The judge struggles to maintain decorum as the court reacts to the inappropriate comment. Get ready for the climax. It's a hoot.
She was dark up until she was
born.
She lightened up.
Can't even.
And this picture is to show what exactly?
That baby don't look nothing like
So you're saying there's absolutely no resemblance?
Absolutely.
That baby's just straight white.
I ain't white, I'm brown.
Yes, he is. He's Puerto Rican and Indian. Yeah, he's brown.
You see my skin color? Are you blind?
You've seen his body, so you know he
somebody
is
get this
brown.
girl some glasses.
We know that children come in all colors. Moving on. Mr. Webb, you are not father.
Yeah.
Strap in, because this one's a doozy. Mr. Pitchford Kendricks kicks off the proceedings with a bombshell, asserting that he is indeed the biological father of the defendant's 2-month-old son, Javier. He suspects that the paternity denial is simply because the mother wants to be with another man, hoping to convince him to take up the father role. This moment lays the groundwork for what promises to be a roller coaster of emotions and accusations. And trust me, you ain't seen nothing yet.
Opened your case to prove are the biological father of the 2-month-old son. You claim she is denying paternity only because because she wants to be with another man and needs to be the father.
Yes, Your Honor. Just when you think you've heard it all, Ms. Saavedra throws a curveball by admitting to a menage a trois that included Mr. Pitchford Kendricks, but remains steadfast in her belief he is not Javier's dad. Her firm denial amidst such a tangled web of bedtime stories highlights the complicated personal entanglements at play. Buckle up, because the emotional whirlwind is just picking up speed.
Ms. Saavedra, you admit you allowed 2 men into your bed at the same time, but you are convinced that Mr. Pitchford Kendrick is not Javier's biological father.
Yes, Your Honor.
You'll want to grab some tissues for this one. An emotional Mr. Pitchford Kendricks shares his poignant backstory of growing up without a father in Detroit, driven by a resolve to ensure his son doesn't endure the same fate. His heartfelt testimony not only tugs at the heartstrings, but also sets high personal stakes in his quest for paternity truth. And just when you think it can't get more heartfelt, the courtroom is about to turn up the heat.
Well, Your Honor, I grew up in the streets of Detroit, no dad in my life, and I just want to make sure my son doesn't have to grow up.
That's a beautiful basket there. You brought that for your son. You say you grew up without your father.
Yes, Your Honor.
Tell me what that was like growing up, your dad.
It was kind of stressful being in school and seeing my classmates and stuff, having their parents come up there, both of them.
Twists and turns are the flavors of the day. The plot thickens as we learn that Ms. Saavedra and the man she believes is Javier's real dad decided to spice up their rocky relationship by inviting Mr. Pitchford Kendricks into the mix. The revelation of their adventurous bedroom escapades adds layers of complexity to the paternity puzzle, proving that this is no ordinary paternity case. Hold on, because the next revelation is a real kicker.
Me and the man that I believe is Javier's father, Maurice, was getting rocky. Decided to include Greg, our mix, and try and spice things up.
So how often was that happen?
It happened
off and on for like 10 years.
What?
You might need a flowchart for this one. Mr. Pitchford Kendricks delves deep into the backstory, explaining how he originally connected Ms. Saavedra with his cousin, which spiraled into a decade of on and off romantic entanglements and threesomes. This tangled tale of relationships gone wild complicates the paternity question even further, painting a picture of a very complicated love web. And believe it or not, it's about to get even wilder.
Well, a half cousin of mine.
A half cousin?
Yeah, it's my cousin's cousin.
You were dating a woman, you ended up sleeping with her roommate. You developed a friendship with that roommate, and then she asked you to introduce her to somebody, so you introduced her to your cousin. Her and your cousin invited you into their bed threesome when their relationship needed spicing up.
Here's where it gets spicy. In a critical twist, Mrs. Saavedra pinpoints the night she believes Javier was conceived, linking it to an unprotected liaison during a tumultuous time in her primary relationship. This key moment is crucial for untangling the convoluted timeline of events and may just be the clue to solving the paternity mystery. Fasten your seatbelts, because the courtroom drama is about to explode.
I think Javier was conceived because that's when the unprotected happened. Like the times we had threesomes, I was trying to reach him, you know what I'm saying? So, and wear a condom, but I kind of liked it her from the first time I had seen her and stuff, so.
So what are you saying? So when you had the threesomes with your cousin and her, you would wear a condom?
Yeah, for respect for him.
Because that's respect.
The plot thickens, and so does the tension. Ms. Saavedra reaches out to Maurice, her primary partner, upon discovering her pregnancy, setting off a chain of confrontations and accusations about who the real father could be. This segment is a roller coaster of emotions, highlighting the strain and turmoil that paternity uncertainty can wreak on personal relationships. And just when you think it can't get more intense, the next chapter adds even more fuel to the fire.
I contacted Maurice, told him I was pregnant.
Contact the guy that really was your boyfriend. So when you told him you were pregnant, did he say, it's not my baby, it's Mr. Kendrick?
He didn't say anything to the degree at the time. We talked about it later on.
Afterwards, he called me trying to act like, these your babies over here, dog. I'm telling you, when I see you on, man, you got me over here taking care of your babies. Cause between both of the babies, like before her first baby was born, that's when the threesome started.
Grab your popcorn, folks. The judge steps in with a conception calculator, attempting to scientifically determine the likely window of Javier's conception amidst the chaos of conflicting testimonies and convoluted personal narratives. This attempt to inject some scientific rationality into the proceedings underscores the court's effort to cut through the emotional fog with some hard facts, and you won't believe what comes next.
Conception calculator, because you all just over the place. So Javier's birthday is January 9th, 2019. Conception window is between 12th and April 18th.
That's not when he was due. He was born early. He was due January 26th.
We was having threesomes.
It has been determined by this court, Mr. Pitchford Kendrick, you are not the father.
Can you believe what we're seeing here? Miss Brooks is clearly upset as Mr. Page denies paternity of their son, Evian, after planning to have this child together. She vividly describes how Mr. Page, a younger man, swept her off her feet following her previous long-term relationship. However, he is now questioning the child's paternity, accusing Miss Brooks of an affair with another man, Tony Wilson. Grab your popcorn, because this is just the start of the drama.
Ms. Brooks, you state after getting out of a 9-year relationship, you fell in love with Mr. Page, a younger man who you say swept you off your feet. You claim both you and Mr. Page planned to have a child together, but since giving birth to your son, Evian, Mr. Page is now denying the child you so desperately wanted to have.
Yes, Your Honor.
What's he thinking? Mr. Page is adamant that he isn't Evian's father, blaming Miss Brooks' frequent outings with Mr. Wilson. His frustration is palpable as he details his work schedule and his growing suspicions about her loyalty due to her evasive behavior and social escapades. The pot is about to boil over, so stick around.
Mr. Page, you state you know the child isn't yours. Ms. Brooks was having an ongoing of another man by the name of Wilson.
Yes.
You say Mr. Wilson, who is also here today to be the father of her son and has even posted pic on social media, in fact.
Yes, Your Honor.
This just keeps getting thicker. Alongside the paternity mess, Miss Brooks and Mr. Page dive into other boiling issues in their relationship. Mr. Page throws in complaints about Miss Brooks' handling of money, painting a picture of financial chaos and mismatched expectations that have been straining their life together. We'll want to see what happens next. Things are getting spicy.
It stimulates from the paternity issues because at first, when we first got together, it was lovely. When I first was pregnant, he did everything. He was there. He was good, like during the pregnancy, and then everything changed. I think it has a lot to do with
No, everything ain't changed, John. What changed is her coming home at night with her and my son being around Mr. Wilson, her friend.
Did that really just happen? As Mr. Page airs his doubts, he points to the supposed timeline of his relationship with Miss Brooks, suspecting infidelity during the conception period. He brings up a social media post by Mr. Wilson that suggests a much closer relationship with both Evian and Miss Brooks, intensifying his doubts. The next revelation is a doozy. Don't miss it.
So you feel like she was cheating on you sometime during the window of conception.
Yes,
Tell
Your
me
Honor.
about that doubt.
She knew Black longer than she knew me, so they've been messing around or whatever they've been doing. I know Black's Facebook page is dedicated just to her and my son, and I have evidence right here saying that.
That is just my friend. We take
Tell me if that looks like a relationship or a friendship.
Buckle up, this ride is getting wilder. The courtroom scrutinizes photos and social media updates that show Mr. Wilson with Evian, implying he's more than just a friend. Mr. Page sees these as confirmation of his suspicion about the nature of the relationship between Miss Brooks and Mr. Wilson. Wait till you see what comes out of the woodwork next.
These are all photos of you,
all dedicated to
Mr. Wilson. That's the baby in there?
That's just a picture of me and them.
It's one of his file pictures.
Yes, I'm the best thing that's...
I mean, look at that.
And then that's Mr. Wilson, Evian.
He is really upset because...
How's he been there?
Because you're not.
With him. Milk, I buy what I got.
When you're not there, he is there. Mr. Page does things, but he does the bare minimum.
You thought it couldn't get more heated? During a fiery exchange, Miss Brooks and Mr. Page go head-to-head over her interactions with Mr. Wilson. He accuses her of neglect, while she argues that Mr. Wilson has been a pillar of support. Things are about to get even more heated. Keep watching, because the gloves are coming off.
Mr. Wilson walks around my son. He does not let it be known that he's not the father. He does not let it be known that he's the father.
But how is that my fault?
He's his. You're right with him. What do you
How is that my fault? No, and you know about that.
And
I'm talking to you. Your Honor, right now.
And he's walking around telling them they're having sex.
Who's he telling this to?
Mr. Wilson does go around saying that he had sex with me. I did not know that. I recently found out.
I heard it from her.
Of course, because
and they're
I'm
still
upset
best
about
friends.
this. Because
just when you think you've seen it all, Mr. Wilson steps up, testifying about his godfather-like relationship with Evian and insisting he hasn't crossed any lines despite Mr. Page's accusations. His testimony could change everything. Keep your eyes peeled, because this is a pivotal moment.
Please describe for the court your relationship with Miss Brooks.
Oh, we're still best friends. One of the fellas. That's my homie, except for she's female.
What is your relationship like with her son?
I'll be honest, that's my godson. I love him. On my lunch breaks, stop past Sam. I spend time with him, take him to the park. How would that be allowed? You never there. You too busy playing the game, chilling with your homeboys and friends.
You won't believe this twist. The spotlight turns to Mr. Page's frequent absences and his alleged lack of involvement with Evian. Miss Brooks accuses him of minimal participation, which he defends by citing his job demands and limited time. Climax is coming up, and it promises to shake things up significantly.
Every time I go to work, my son go over his house. One night I was calling him from my job, but once I get off, I can't get a hold of him. When I get to the house, my son is not there, she's not there, nobody's picking up the phone, I'm walking all around.
So what about when you disappear for days at a time?
I don't disappear, I go to work.
Yes, you do. Every day when you leave out there, your phone not even on. Call while you at work. Then you would know where your son was at. You don't know. Find out at the end of the day.
I just told you where my son was at.
Here comes the moment of truth.
It has been determined by this court. You are not not the father.
Told you. Told you.
Hold on to your seats. Mr. Kennedy makes a theatrical entrance claiming he's dragged into court despite being a good guy, just to prove he's not the father of Ms. Pope's 3-month-old son, Christian. He's adamant about his innocence in this baby drama. Ms. Pope and her mother are visibly frustrated, insisting Mr. Kennedy owns up since he played a part in the baby-making process. Mr. Kennedy throws a curveball, suggesting Ms. Pope might just be looking for a scapegoat for her baby daddy woes. And just when you think it's all simmering down, the pot's about to boil over in the next segment.
Mr. Kennedy, you claim to be a nice guy who was to make the tough decision to drag the defendant to court, prove you did not father her 3-month-old son, Christian.
Yes, Your Honor.
Ms. Pope, you and your mother are that Mr. Kennedy denies paternity and refuse to acknowledge your child. You say he laid down with you and now he has up and paid.
Yes, Your Honor.
You won't believe this. The plot thickens as they unpack the friends with benefits setup that never had any strings attached, or so Mr. Kennedy claims. Ms. Pope airs out some dirty laundry, revealing Mr. Kennedy wasn't the Prince Charming he initially seemed to be. Fast forward, where he accuses her of not being over her ex, tossing another spicy meatball into the mix. Buckle up, because the revelations just keep rolling out.
No, we never did. It never had a chance to take off. We did get along in the beginning. He was a jerk, and I no longer wanted to be around that.
Why were you sleeping with him if he was a jerk?
He came off as an all-American guy in the beginning. We had a lot of things in common. We had the same football team.
That's enough to sleep with somebody, birthday and a football team. The bottom line is you all got along in the beginning.
The stakes are getting higher. Mr. Kennedy confesses he started ghosting Ms. Pope right when she needed him most, post-pregnancy announcement. He's backpedaling, recalling the murky details of the pregnancy news peppered with mentions of other potential daddies. Grab your popcorn, because the drama unfolds even more in the next chapter.
I found out that I was pregnant at 6 weeks, a cutie one morning, and threw it up at work. I put the 2 and 2 together. It wasn't rocket science, and I knew that I was pregnant.
And Mr. Kennedy, do you remember when she told you she was pregnant?
Told me around May or June or July. At that point, she had said there were 2 other gentlemen, and I had asked her, could it potentially be mine? And she said, no, you're in the clear. So
things take a turn for the digital, where a Facebook message becomes Exhibit A. Ms. Pope had pinged Mr. Kennedy with a baby pic, which sparks a whole new level of paternity paranoia. As the judge scrolls through the messages, the courtroom feels more like a soap opera set. Don't touch that dial. The next moments are guaranteed to amp up the drama.
She tell you were the father?
Through Facebook, I got messages.
It is your testimony that she did not tell you, she didn't tell you anything about the pregnancy, anything. You didn't hear from her until the baby was born.
Yes,
I had messaged him the night that I went into
some
labor.
message. I've been trying to get a hold of you. I want to call you and talk. Reply about. She replies, would you like to guess?
Cue the violins as Mr. Kennedy reflects on his personal visit to see the baby, searching for any sign of a family resemblance. He pledges his commitment to fatherhood, assuming the DNA stars align. Ms. Pope calls him out for his lackluster dad vibes, to which he retorts with tales of mixed signals. The emotional roller coaster is just getting started, so stay tuned for the climactic close.
6-hour trip out of my day to go up and actually see the child with my own eyes, just to make sure she was being truthful. I didn't get anything until after the child was born. For a while, trying to gather, anything, any kind of quirks that might relate him to myself or my other, find any similarities between him and I, and that was basically it. Went up mainly just to see the baby for my own eyes, just to make sure that this wasn't a ruse of some sort.
As they lay out their final arguments, both sides are throwing everything but the kitchen sink into the ring. Mr. Kennedy is all in for a paternity test, while Ms. Pope paints a picture of a roller coaster relationship ride. The judge sums up the saga, setting us up for a DNA result that promises to be a game changer. The suspense is real, folks.
And Ms. Pope, as much as I understand if he is not biological father, do you know where the other 2 gentlemen are?
Yes, Your Honor.
And would they want to be a part of Christian's life? Would they put themselves available to testing so that we can get this confirmed once and for all for this beautiful baby? It has been determined by this court. Mr. Kennedy, you are the father.